Let's continue our conversation about Stoicism. We're going over the moral letters by Lucius Annaeus Seneca. We have landed in letter 69, and that sounds like it could be fun, but it turns a pretty dark corner fairly quickly. From Seneca to Lucilius, greetings. I want you not to go traipsing about from place to place, and this for two reasons. First, such frequent travel is a sign of disquiet. The mind cannot find strength in its leisure, excuse me, unless it stops looking around and wandering around. To keep your mind within bounds, you must first stop your body from running away. Second, it is the protracted cure that does the most good. You should rest without interruption and forget your former life. Let your eyes unlearn what they have seen. Let your ears grow accustomed to more healthful words. Every time you go out, your old desires are stirred anew, even before you reach your destination. It is like love. When one wants to rid oneself of that passion, one has to avoid all reminders of the body one's affections have chosen. For there is nothing that regains its power so easily. And so it is with every fervent desire. One must turn both eyes and ears away from what one has left behind. It gets worse after this. So I think the first point in all this is be a little careful with travel. And where my mind goes is don't have the expectation that getting to a new place will solve your problems, because you're in a new place, but your problems tend to follow you. It's not a matter of, fresh start. Now everything is gone, it doesn't often work that way, I think. I like what he's saying here. Second, it is the protracted cure that does the most good. You should rest without interruption and forget your former life. Let your eyes unlearn what they have seen. Let your ears grow accustomed to more healthful words. Every time you go out, your old desires are stirred anew, even before you reach your destination. It's fascinating. So if you are looking for a reset, I think that's the popular term, #reset. If you are looking for a reset in your life, you want to start fresh. You want to have an entirely new beginning, so to speak. That is going to take tremendous effort. Now, I think we could take this in a very mental sense. It's possible that you're working through something unpleasant that has happened in your life. I'm not talking about deep trauma, that kind of stuff, because that will not be cured by Stoicism. But I'm talking about the everyday things in life, things that happen to us that are unpleasant, that don't kill us, but that don't deeply traumatize us, but that leave a mark, right? That leave a bit of a scar in our souls. Learning to deal with those things, learning to move past those things, learning to give them their own little spot somewhere in your mind is difficult. It's very, very difficult, and it takes a lot of continuous effort that you keep practicing, that you keep doing to move past those things that have happened, that have been unpleasant to you. And that is very much like a journey, but not a physical journey from one place to the next, but a mental journey that you go on, and that's going to take a certain period of time, something that can't be rushed. It will happen. You will move past that thing, but it will take time. We've talked about that kind of stuff before. And it's very interesting that he talks about love this way, right? It is like love. When one wants to rid oneself of that passion, one has to avoid all reminders of the body one's affections have chosen. For there is nothing that regains its raw power so easily, and so it is with every fervent desire. One must turn both eyes and ears away from what one has left behind. So if you are trying to overcome specific desires, again, that is very hard work. It's a very active process that requires you to be very involved and very much on top of that whole process. Emotion is quick to fight back. Wherever it turns, it sees some immediate profit from its exertions. Every evil has something it can appeal to. Greed promises you money. Self-indulgence promises pleasures of many kinds. Ambition promises you the purple, the roar of the crowd, the power that comes of these, and everything that power can do. Your falls ply you with rewards. Here, though, you must live unpaid. Choose to not indulge in those things. You will not get the rewards, but you also don't get the suffering that accompanies those kinds of pursuits. Our faults have so long been left to grow that a whole life is hardly enough time to subdue them and bring them under the yoke. Our chances are even less if we divide up our brief span with interruptions. Even constant vigilance and effort can scarcely perfect some single element of our lives. Once again, hard, consistent work is required to progress, right? Now, here things definitely turn a little dark, but it wouldn't be Seneca if he would not be talking about death at some point. So, if you would hear my advice, then practice and train yourself in this: how to welcome death, or even summon it if circumstances so indicate. It matters not whether death comes to us or we to death. Persuade yourself that it is wrong to say, as the ignorant often do, it is lovely to die by one's own death. No one dies by any death but his own. And you may ponder this as well. No one dies on any day but his own dying day. You are not losing any of your allotted time, for what you leave behind is not your own. Farewell. Harsh words. And again, very Seneca-like approach. Seneca, an older man at this point, thought about death quite a lot. This is known because read his letters and tally how many times death comes up. But I find this a very interesting way of looking at things. Now, I've had these kinds of discussions before because, again, death and dying feature very heavily in Seneca's work. But the idea of your death is your own. Whatever the circumstances will be, that's what it is, because it is your death. And the same reasoning applies to the day of your death. There will be a day that you die, and that will be your day of dying. It's not anyone else's, it's yours, and that's just how it's going to be. And you can have all kinds of theories as why that is the way it is, but it's just going to be that way. There will be a day that you die, that you pass away, and that's just how it's going to be. There's nothing you can do to stop it. There's nothing you can do to change it. It's just a natural part of your life. And that's okay, because that's how it is for everyone, how it has been for everyone who came before us, and how it's probably going to be for everyone who comes after us. So I think in many ways that's a very comforting thought. There will be that day. You don't know that day. You don't know when it is, and that might be for the best. But it will be there. And when it's there. And it's yours, uniquely yours. And that's it. So, I think it's an interesting letter. A letter in which he admonishes us, once again, to bear in mind death is coming. And to therefore also make the most out of every day. Do everything you can to work on yourself, to be the very best version of yourself you can be, so that you don't waste any time, so that you can't find yourself in your deathbed and say, well, I really wish I would have been better at X, Y, or Z, because you can be better at X, Y, or Z. You just have to go out and you have to do it. You have to invest the time and the effort to actually be the best version of yourself you can be. And by doing that, you will never be perfect, but you make progress. And progress is enough. And that, I think, is a very stoic way of looking at things. So, instead of fearing the moment of our death, we just bear it in mind as a reminder. This is why we must work hard on ourselves today. We must try to be our very best self. And by doing so, we will lead a good life. And we will be good to others. And That's really all we can do. So that was letter 69. I hope this was useful, and let me know what you think. What you think of this letter? I thought it was a slightly peculiar one, but a good one. I'll see you next time. More talk about Stoicism. Bye.